Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Spring Equinox, the astrology of the Spring Equinox. We call this in astrology the Aries Ingress chart, and this is going to be it gives us details or insights into what's going to be happening in 2020. And because I'm based in the UK, then this chart will be set for London, and so we're looking at the events currently happening and looking ahead to what will happen in the future of this year. So let's just have a fairly easygoing journey through this. So I'm wondering if I can actually show you the chart. I don't know if I can actually. Hang on a minute. I don't know. I don't think I can reverse the screen here to show you the chart. But anyway, I'll post the chart on to the comments page so you'll be able to see it. So do, by the way, remember to subscribe to my channel, to click the like button. I might remind you that during the video, actually, and press the bell and, well, visit my website for readings. So, okay then, let's start having a look at this chart. So, so the actual moment that the sun moves into Aries is at 3:50 a.m. tomorrow morning. The ascendant will be in Capricorn at that moment. So that shows us what is ruling, if you like, the country of the UK and its inhabitants as a whole. So we're looking at the general conditions of prosperity or the health of the country and so forth. The ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and Saturn in this chart is in the very last degree of Capricorn. It's just about to go into Aquarius. So Saturn's been in Capricorn for about 2.5 years. And that's, of course, been, dare I even say the word again, Brexit. You know, the last 2.5 years we've had Brexit issues galore. But Saturn is now at the very last degree of Capricorn, and it's just had its conjunction with Pluto, which happened on January the 12th. And look how fast things have changed since then, because, of course, we are now in the grip of the coronavirus here in the UK, and lockdown is imminent. All sorts of things are happening. But so I'll overview this a bit more with you in a minute. But the state of Saturn is the idea of Saturn. I mean, you know, I want to go to all the planets, of course, but I have to talk about the ruler of the chart first. So Saturn. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. You know, Saturn is the planet of death. It's the planet of mortality. It is old father time. It's the scythe bearer. It's the sands of time, and therefore Saturn rules situations that could be things like life-threatening epidemics. But also it tends to show things like public sorrow or disappointment. So with Saturn at the very last degree of Capricorn, I think there's a big message coming through here. And if Saturn is the planet of death, then I think we can probably, more than likely, expect some sort of passing of a very big figure, okay? A very important state figure, maybe, just as Saturn possibly changes sign into Aquarius. So look out for this, you know, I do believe something like that. We'll look at other charts in a minute. But I might even do another video on this. But I would say that Saturn being the ruler of the UK for this particular next phase of time, then we are definitely looking at something rather disastrous on that front. I would even go so far as to say state funeral. So, but let's keep going because there's other planets here, lots of other things to talk about. So that's just the ruler of the chart. Now, the sun is, of course, 0 degrees Aries. It has just gone across it begins its new journey of celestial longitude. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it's the beginning of the astrological year. 0 degrees Aries, and that's why we create these charts for this. And so with 0 degrees, with the sun, it represents the ruler of the country. It represents the person in charge. And of course, Prime Minister is would be Boris Johnson, and it also, to a certain extent, it also represents the monarch, and people in authority are represented by the sun, and so it would be things like cabinet ministers as well, and it would be our sort of heroes and champions as well. So when the sun is in Aries in this chart, the sun is in Aries in the 4th house. And by the way, I'm using whole sign houses for this, okay? So the sun is in Aries in the 4th house. This brings us, the 4th house is about the land, the owners of the land, and the workers of the land. So it's things like crops and produce. And it could be also things like buildings. So what we're looking at here is the idea as this is the people versus the monarch, because with the sun in the 4th house, that's opposite the 10th house, which is the monarch, but more to that later. So what we're looking at here is this idea that there may be something to do with the weather here. But let's look at the aspects that the sun is making. The sun is squaring the nodes. Now that's huge, okay? We've got the sun squaring the north node in Cancer, the south node in Capricorn. I'll refer to that in a minute, but it's also coming up to make a conjunction to Chiron, and also happens to be with Black Moon Lilith at the moment. And Black Moon Lilith is known for its suppressed anger. Chiron is known for its sense of suffering and wounding. And so with the sun there, we're looking at possibly quite a lot of reaction against government, against figures and authority figures in power, but also at the same time, then them sort of having a sort of like, well, we didn't know it was going to be like this. We weren't aware. We've been suffering in our own way. You know, that's the sort of Sun Chiron thing. You know, it's a kind of like, well, we want to heal everything. We want things to get better. And we've got to sort of change our way of leadership, which is Sun in Aries, change our way of doing things. And of course, with the sun squaring the nose, well, we'll get back to that in a minute, but this is a sense of a massive change in destiny and a massive change in direction. And of course, we've got this thing, coronavirus, happening now. Everything's changing in the country like never before. I mean, it's unprecedented what's going on right now. So I'll key into that a bit later. Now let's look at the moon, okay? So in this chart, the moon is in Aquarius in the 2nd house of the chart. So the moon denotes the masses, the people, the common people, everybody. It also denotes women, and it also denotes crowds, and it also denotes the general public and the nature of the general public. So we're looking at where the attention of the public is, and the moon is in the 2nd house. This is basically to do with the national sense of wealth, the idea of the revenue, the idea of money making, things like banks, the stock exchange, financial institution, money markets, trading, all these different things fall under Moon in Aquarius in the 2nd house. So what we're looking at here is this idea of focusing the people, focusing on their money. What's been going on recently? They're clearing out of the supermarkets, panic buying and hoarding, which is very odd. It's slightly eccentric and it's very unconventional, which is Moon in Aquarius. So we're really faced with these rather strange situations where we've got empty shelves, you know, and all this sort of stuff going on. It wouldn't normally have happened. Why is it happening? You know, I mean, people saying, but the supermarkets have been trying to say to us, don't panic buy, you know. just everything's going to stay okay. But then people are doing sort of the opposite to that, really. So we shall see what happens there. So Moon in Aquarius in the second. That brings us attention going then towards, well, I'm going to do Venus first today, because the Moon is actually making a square to Venus in the chart. So Venus is in Taurus in the 5th house. So Venus governs all women's issues and things like the national birth rate and social factors, particularly things like marriage and children. It's also very artistic, very musical, and very arty type things, creativity. It's things like entertainment, and it's about trying to find diplomatic resolutions to things. Well, Venus is in Taurus in the 5th house. Venus rules Taurus, so she is in her dignity there. She's very comfortable in the 5th house. But is getting squared by the Moon, so there's some tension there. And the 5th house, of course, in this chart is places of pleasure and entertainment, things like, again, the birth rate, children, sexual concerns. So, of course, the Moon in Aquarius in the 2nd, squaring Venus in Taurus in the 5th. I will predict at this point in time a jump in the birth rate, quite possibly, because people are being kept indoors, and who knows what's going to happen 9 months from now. Well, actually, there's going to be a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius in 9 months' time. So if there is a huge rise in the birth rate, then it's everybody, it's all the new children coming in with Jupiter-Saturn, maybe. So that'll be quite interesting. So, there may be a lot to do with social functions. What's going on with the social functions that we usually have with people? All the cafes are closing, all the restaurants are closing, all the public gathering places are closing, all the entertainment places are closing. That is the Moon, the people, being squared by Venus. The people need to be entertained. So what are we going to do? Interesting. Well, we'll find out. And so there's going to be a lot to do with that. I think that's going to feature very strongly this next, whilst we're going through this phase with the coronavirus. Let's have a look at Mercury. Mercury is in Pisces in this chart, in the 3rd house. Mercury governs things like newspapers, publishing, the trade and commerce again, very much to do with the intellectual world. It's how people communicate with each other. Mercury in Pisces is in its detriment. So the communications aren't very clear. Nothing's really coming across. There's a lot of oceanic images, a lot of delusion, possibly fantasy. Is it real? Yes, it's real, but is it? Why are we being told all this sort of stuff? Is it as important as it's meant to be? Interesting. This Mercury, what's happening here? Mercury in its detriment, as I said, so it doesn't sit happily in Pisces, and in the 3rd house as well. Then it's about our sense of going from A to B. So it's our local communications, our transits, railways, road traffic, cars, the movement of news and information, things like communication networks and the internet, telephones. So with Mercury and Pisces there may be some confusion about stuff, but Mercury is making a good aspect to the North Node, and I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But Mercury is also making a good aspect to Uranus, which is futuristic technologies, modern things, progression and evolving things. Uranus in the 5th house, everyone's going to go online. So Mercury in the 3rd is the formation of new localized networks. If this coronavirus thing goes on, people are going to start grouping together. I think there may be sudden springing up of new software, springing up of new ideas that group people collectively. So it might be towns and villages getting their own network, kind of video talking to each other, organizing things, that I think could really actually be a very good thing happening for this country right now. And it will get people thinking differently, thinking more locally. And so there may be something very exciting there, actually, to look out for. That could be very good. Mercury making good aspect to Uranus. Modern technologies come to the rescue, if you like. So I would think that, the formation of networking to organize things at a local level could be very, very good. So that brings us then to Mars. Now, Mars is in Capricorn. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. So Mars is very happy in Capricorn, and gets a lot of things done. All right, it's very accomplished. Puts its mind to something, the dynamic energy is there. And it is making an exact conjunction to Jupiter at this moment of this chart. So what we're looking at here then is this idea that Mars is the country, is in the first house again. So Mars is taking the country, it's finding the leader of the country. And it could be everybody has to play their part in leadership. Think about that for a minute, because Mars is with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, great things, opportunities. Okay, so this is an opportunity moment for us collectively, right? To take the general condition of the country and its inhabitants, and maybe learn something new and different. Capricorn is a practical sign, a methodical sign, a professional sign, a sign of doing things very quite seriously. Okay, so Jupiter with Mars and Jupiter together could be an action-oriented Jupiter thing. It's a bit like dig for victory, which was a Second World War mantra. The idea of digging for victory, and Capricorn being an earth sign. It could be with spring right now, we could have a massive collective movement to plant the nation, a whole new, a really amazing thing where we all get into localized farming, which causes that Mercury in the second house, organized farming, where we could do things collectively, dig for victory again in our own way, not war. Right, this is not war. It's organizing ourselves differently, and it's getting to grips with what we can do as an island race, and I think that is very important too. Okay, so that's the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. How's that aspected in the chart? It makes a wide trine to Venus. Venus is in Taurus again, so there's a lot of Earth in this chart. All right, there's a lot of Earth, and therefore getting into the Earth could be a good thing. Springtime is the perfect time to start growing crops, growing your own garden, doing something with the garden, but also doing something collectively with the group, with the village, the town, the city, finding places that you can grow things. Okay, doing something like that, because if we're meant to be stuck indoors and self-isolating, then why don't we organize things to, like a video organizer, this idea of video software, I was talking about this idea with Mercury and Pisces. We could be getting together collective groups locally where we're saying, okay, well, what do we do with what should we do with our front gardens? Well, let's turn them into something. Let's grow pumpkins and squash in our front gardens, or beans, or cabbages, or whatever, right? And then share the crop, like move it all around, collectively. If in a road of front gardens, people could say, well, if number 6 grows the cabbages and number 12 grows the cauliflowers, and number 15 and 16 grow the tomatoes, we can all share it at the end of the year. at the season in 6 months' time. I mean, I'm talking in a way that's trying to be encouraging here, because I think that I see a lot of encouragement in this chart. I see there's a lot of future potential for really making some very positive changes to our nation. And it's about how people work together. The government can go and do what they do, right? But ultimately, if we listen too much to what they're saying, we can be brought down a lot, and we need to think about what we can do collectively, as a community, right? And that's that moon in Aquarius, right? So that, I think, is meant to be hopeful, right? So there we go, right? So that's Mars and Jupiter. It's our own version of Dig for Victory, all right? And then we have Saturn, which I've talked about. The changing of the old guard, right? Something's going, something's leaving, and something new is coming in, all right? Saturn changes sign into Aquarius very soon. All right, now, there's other planets and points. I'm not going to look at the outer planets in this, apart from I'm going to tell you that it's been very interesting that we've had that Saturn-Pluto conjunction recently. So I'm just going to look now straight to the node. The North Node is in the sign of Cancer the Crab. That's in the 7th house of the chart. The 7th house is foreign affairs, is relations with other countries. Now, they can be friendly or they can be hostile. It's political or commercial relationships. It's also the marriage or divorce rate. Okay, so 7th house node means all those issues are coming up. So I would say the node is being squared by the sun. Well, it could be that people are really going to sort their relationships right now. This is a few months now in which relationships are going to be absolutely sorted. Okay, because the sun squaring the North Node means can live with you, can't live with you, or can't live without you, or got to make some changes type of stuff. Sun squaring the node in the 7th. But it's also what happened to Brexit? Oh, it hasn't been mentioned for a long time now, has it? I mean, not for a few weeks. That's maybe the recognition that actually having good neighborly relations with our fellow countries or countries nearby is a good thing. Maybe I think it is. So I would say that the sun in Aries with the Chiron and the Black Moon Lilith, is politicians going, I think maybe we do need to stay friends with the EU. I think maybe we actually do need all the benefits that come with that. So let's keep that in mind, shall we, everybody? Because I think this is an excellent way to cancel it all out. By the way, anyway. Get political. I think you have to get political with a mundane astrology chart, don't you? But the moon in Aquarius in the 2nd house is also I think indicating the idea that a larger, greater community is a good thing. All right, so that I'll post the chart, as I said, with the thing. Now to just round up, this idea that Saturn's the very last degree. Venus rules the 10th house, which is the monarch's house. And Venus is in Taurus. Venus is very secure in Taurus, right? Sitting on her throne, being quite dignified. But it squares the moon. Yeah. So it could be that the monarch is, having difficulty with emotions and feelings about things. And that Saturn ruling, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a big change in how the monarchy is. I know for a fact that Queen Elizabeth's chart has a Capricorn ascendant. She's got Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all in her 1st house at the moment. Life is not easy for her right now, and this year will possibly even the next few days will pan out to prove that. And so, you know, that will be interesting, won't it? We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some really big changes. And Saturn, as I said, the planet of mortality. So it might be that it's her partner, you know, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, or something like that. Anyway, right. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you've enjoyed this enough to click the like. Just underneath the screen there, you can see the like button. Click the like button, and press subscribe as well while you're at it. If you haven't seen me before, my name's Julian Venables. I am the London astrologer, and I enjoy doing astrology, and I enjoy presenting astrology to you as well. And I do hope you might even share this to your friends and tell other people about it, because I'm planning on doing more regular videos, and this is what I love to do. I really enjoy astrology. I've been doing it for quite a long time, and so yeah, get back to me if you like a reading, or invite me for a talk or any such thing. Find me through my website, which is londonastrologer.com, and so everything underneath there. Click like, leave a comment. Don't forget to say something. I hope you enjoyed this, by the way. Leave a nice comment. That would be great. And see you next time, because I will be talking to you again very, very soon. And I'll post the chart on the YouTube page, I hope. So, so see you all for now, and speak to you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.